better be informed.
Yes, sir. The American agent has infiltrated the X-Lab facility.
All right, welcome back. How's everybody doing? Sorry it took me a little bit longer to get going tonight. I actually am starting the show a little bit different than we normally do. A little bit less, I don't know, pomp and circumstance, if you will. I wanted to chat for a minute about what this show is, right? I just want to hang out with you, talk to you for a second. We've got a ton of footage. As always, hit the like button, drop a comment in the chat. Let me know where you guys are at. But I went through all the VOD discussion, from the last show, which was our first show back in this studio. And if you haven't noticed, I changed some of the lighting. I told you then, just like I'll tell you now, that there was going to be a steady and regular change that comes to how we do the live shows. I'm shaking the camera around. That's another thing. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. There's going to be a steady change to how we do the live shows, to what we focus on during the live shows, because as of today, we have officially booked our first guest for the podcast version of the show. Now, the technical issues I was trying to solve, I'm going to give you a look behind the curtain for a second, are that some of the cameras just suddenly aren't working, like that one. But we're working through that stuff. But I want to talk a little bit, just for a second, about what the live show, or what this combat footage review needs to transform into. For a long time, I was really treating this as though it was its own show. It had its own branding, and we really want it to be so much less formal than that. We really want it to be what it was originally intended for, what it was from day one. Day one, when we started going live, February 24th, 2022, the purpose was so that we could all come together around the footage that the Funker 530 team was finding out in the wild, right? What this turned into is kind of, some form of a attempted polish on a show, and that was really evident in a lot of the comments. It had a whole lot to do with how I had this last studio structured. We moved from like a gaming desk. I still run my gaming stream over there. You like to watch Teletubbies on your time off. I like to play video games. I don't care. But moving forward, this is going to become a much less formal show. This is going to be a little bit more about just showing you the footage, which is what it's always been. But I'm going to have a little bit less structure around it, even more so than in the past. Again, we booked our first guest for what will eventually be the Funker 530 show, or 530 show. Let me know which one you guys think that should be. And that is ultimately where the structure is going to shift, because those are going to be stories from the actual people that are sitting on the ground, not me sitting here taking a look at the footage that we're finding third party from around the world, right? Video itself, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, is such an imperfect lens into, the situations on the ground that we want to better understand as human beings, as, citizens of wherever you are. I'm sure there are people here from the Netherlands, from, Poland, Ukraine, Germany, the United States, Canada. We might have some folks from Mexico. I don't know. There's people from all around the world. But this show is going to shift kind of dramatically in the way that it's delivered. It's going to be a little bit less about the pomp and circumstance around a, quote, show, and more about, we're going to go live. We're going to show you some of the stuff that we've seen around, around the interwebs, and a lot of the structure and composition shift for this will move towards what will eventually be the podcast. Anyway, all right. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah, I'm already having issues with the camera, anytime you make as big of a technical shift as we did, shifting out of the last studio, introducing so much new technology, something's bound to go awry. And it has been a hell of a last 30 minutes. Let's talk about what we will review tonight. We're going to see a lot of footage from Lebanon today. There were some pretty heavy airstrikes. We're going to see some sick dirt bike wheelies that come along with that. I want to talk for a second about my shirt. Killstreak, if you're a fan of the music that we start the show with every day, Killstreak sent me a shirt. Thank you very much, guys. That's who you should go check out. I also got to talk about our sponsor because I forgot to mention that. Venture Surplus, 10% off, Funky 10, down at the bottom of one of the sides of me. I think it's over here. Yep, that's the one right there. Right there. Go and check out Venture Surplus. They're really good people. They have a ton of stuff. You know, if you need a ruck, if you need an assault pack, if you need hydro, med, you can get it all there. Back to what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to see some footage of international aid and response into Gaza. We'll see some helmet camera footage of the IDF as they continue moving through Khan Yunis. And then we're also going to shift over and we're going to talk a little bit about Avdiivka. Now, I've seen, we've got quite a bit of footage both currently in Avdiivka, what Avdiivka looks like now, as well as walking back a little bit on all the footage that's continuing to come out from the defense of Avdiivka as it was falling. Avdiivka has fallen, quote unquote. Now, Russia has attempted to push beyond Avdiivka, and we'll see a little bit of footage of that as well. We'll see footage from Kherson today. We'll also see footage from Zaporizhzhia, where there is a renewed counteroffensive from Russia to try and take some of those positions that Ukraine took back. Without further ado, let's get into the footage that we have. And I did change the screens around to help, you know, you're not looking at me enough. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're working on it. Let's head over to our map, and we're going to first start with the map that I don't have pulled up over on understandingwar.org. We'll take a look at the campaign map from Israel. Oh, and please feel free to relay questions in the chat. You know, again, we're going to shift the formality of this back a little bit. This is going to be much more of a discussion, much less of a presentation, if you will. So stand by while I get the map up for you. ISW Israel map. Good evening, bud. Greetings from Portugal. Portugal. I haven't seen a whole lot of Portugal in the chat. Well, welcome in for Portugal. Oh, that's bright. Yeah, we're going to have to work on the lighting in here. Anyway, here comes the map, full screen. Let's see if it works. All right, well, at least that worked. Like I mentioned, we'll be starting up in Lebanon and seeing some pretty heavy airstrikes that actually took place pretty deep into Lebanon. We're going all the way up here to Sidon. Where are you at? Is it even further? That's Beirut. Let's just pull up Google Earth. Stand by. Oh, I already had Google Earth up. Coming up for you now. Acorn. Sidon is pretty far from the Israeli border. Like, it's really not close. You got the Israeli border here. Yeah. All the way up there. 50 kilometers. Now, this footage that we're going to start with was a very, very heavy pair of airstrikes from Israel into Sidon. And we've got multiple angles of this. Now, what I want to point out very specifically is this sick wheelie. Stand by. There we go. Allahu Akbar! Yeah, okay. Allahu Akbar! Ya Afu Allah! Ya Waylay! Now, I do have a geolocation for this as well. Two locations. One was reportedly some form of, or both were some form of factory. I didn't happen to see, or didn't find very easily any kind of response from Israel or any kind of an announcement on what this was targeting. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That means I didn't see it. let's take a look at where exactly. Just wanted to show you that wheelie again. Where exactly this took place in Sidon. Pronunciations. That took place here. At least one of those two hit this building. Please stop turning. Thank you. Makes me dizzy. At least one of those two hit this building. But I do have some additional footage of that. Now this is effectively the strikes. These are the strikes that are represented in today's thumbnail. And I want to say this is the video that the screen capture would have come from. If not this one, maybe the next one. Here's a bit of a close-up on that. That's a big boom. Interesting secondaries there. Now, because this was, reported to be some kind of a warehouse, I mean, that could be propane tanks, that can be, fuel. Difficult to say, but there are secondaries, sympathetic detonations happening there. Right there. All right, I think I have one more angle from that one. It's coming up now. Oh, yeah. Here you are. Some of y'all turned your head. It wasn't just me. There's that same secondary. Let's go full screen here. Stop. Somebody said only $38 worth of damage. All right, now let's bring it up. Those weren't the only strikes in Lebanon, though. Israel just kind of continues to send volley after volley into Lebanon, largely because Lebanese Hezbollah won't quit effing around. Now, here is the next location that we're going to be headed to. You'll see that just inside of the Lebanon border. Those strikes, or that is the geolocation of at least one of those strikes, is coming up now. And it's gone. Now, the next video that I have set aside, my notes on this one are interesting. It just says Yaroun. So, and I don't recall what exactly it is, so we're probably going to be looking at this both for the same time. More strikes. Do have a geolocation for it, but I'm just going to show you guys the video. Also in Lebanon. That's the button we want. Yeah, boom is right there. Did I miss the Dnipro dogfights part? Nope, that'll come about the last half of the show. We will have another intermission in between. All right. Let's bring it up. Now, I have much less footage from Gaza, Central, from Gaza proper than normal shows. Keeping in mind that the weekend, the review from over the weekend is typically like this. We'll have a little bit less saturation of video, just because the folks that publish it around the web, where we find it, aren't working. Plain and simple. But the IDF, I wanted to show you guys some footage of the IDF in and around, I want to say it's like just northwest of Bethlehem here. Dismantling this house. Now, what the context is behind this house being dismantled, I'm not entirely certain. But I thought it was some interesting footage. There is a geolocation for this one. I'm not going to bring it up here on the stream, but there's a geolocation for this one in the stream description. It's called Sidon. Got it. Yeah, pronunciations are not one of the things I consider myself to be very good at. Well, there's your problem. Danube. Will there ever be a time? Question. Will there ever be a time? I hit the wrong button. I'll figure all this stuff out eventually. Where you guys just forget about the whole Danube thing? Huh? I'll take the hat off. Are we ever going to get over that? Or do I just have to live with that now? Is that forever? I hate you guys. All right, let's go. Let's go to the next one. This next video is a little bit interesting. This is reportedly Ramallah in the West Bank. We'll be moving into the West Bank here. Where I don't really know the best way to describe... to describe it, it's just fire. Molotovs being thrown at the IDF as they move through Ramallah. Forever? Thanks, guys. Thanks. All right. Now let's bring it back up. We're going to talk a little bit about an operation that took place in Tulkarm. Now, this was an operation targeting one of the local commanders in Tulkarm of the al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades. Al-Aqsa used to be a part of what is effectively the Palestinian Authority, so Fatah. But they broke apart in like 2007. This operation specifically was targeting Muhammad Al-Awfi. Muhammad Al-Awfi. I don't know. Here's Muhammad. This guy. I don't know what he's saying. Awfi. Or something. Somebody tell me what he's saying. He also has an Adidas tracksuit, though. That's interesting. Well, here is the footage from on the ground of what took place during that raid. Now, I have two kind of perspectives of this. The first is the IDF direct perspective, and then the second is we get about 2 seconds of a different perspective, but I couldn't find that whole video. Anyway, you'll understand when that comes up. Here is the IDF raid to kill or capture Muhammad Al-Awfi. Awfi. Just a note, Mohammed is firing out of this window with that probably very same M4 type weapon that he had there in that last video.
يشوف كاب يفه عوض على اليمين افتح على الشمال انا يدفع عشاي شو مقبل هذا عشاي كده
Now, it should be noted that this is the counter-terror unit, Yamam. Somebody help me with that one, because I don't think it's Yamam, but it could be Yamam. Every time I say that, it's just, I can't help but wonder if I'm saying it wrong. But it is police, counter-terror. Here is that other angle. This one gives you a little bit of the view of Muhammad's rifle sticking out of that window. Now, I was trying to find the full perspective of this one. I couldn't find it anywhere, though. Like, it doesn't exist. I went to the Telegram that's queued up down here in the bottom. I was already a member of it. But I just couldn't find it. Anyway, here's a little bit more footage of that raid. You see that rifle sticking out of that window? Yeah, see, I shouldn't have even asked for help with it, because now the whole chat's just your mom jokes. Yeah, so Muhammad was killed in this raid. Multiple were killed. There, I had a little bit more context on it earlier in the day, but I'm kind of drawing a blank on it at the moment. And then you get a little bit more of the same perspective we already saw. The ballistic shield. It's not a riot shield. It's a ballistic shield. Which makes a little bit more sense now that we know that it's a police counter-terror team conducting the raid. I need to get cough buttons because I have to fully mute the mic over here. I'm going to pull that thing down. Anyway. What is this one? I don't even have notes next to this one, so we're going to watch this together devoid of any notes. A third perspective. See the entry team moving up there. This looks like it's sometime after engaging the window. But that all took place in Tulkarm. Happy birthday. Not my birthday, guys. Once again. All right. Let's bring it up. Now, I have one more video from the war in Gaza. We're already moving through things pretty quickly tonight. And this one takes place, I want to say, in Khan Yunis. Yeah, this is Khan Yunis. Just more helmet camera footage of the IDF as they continue working through, primarily, and at least most of the video that I'm finding, is from Khan Yunis over the last couple weeks. That is where I would say the majority of the ground activity or ground operation is continuing to take place. Here you are, helmet camera footage from Igaz. Here you are. Wrong button. I see all the support over there, guys. Thank you very much for it. We'll be checking in on that right after this video. Get my mouse out of the way. All right, let's bring it back up, and we're going to throw some intermission footage on here while I go through some of the support, and thank you guys very much for it. The stream's free. It always has been and always will be free. The purpose of it was always for us to connect with the community around the footage so that we can all hopefully get a little bit better of an understanding of what's going on around the world. Anyway, here you go. Let her eat. Talk about a, what is a 5 to 9 round burst? It's just successive 5 to 9 round bursts. Anyway, let me go through the support that's coming in, and thank you guys very much for it. Thank you for the $5, Paul. It'd be awesome to see Rudy on the show. There is a plan, actually, to have Rudy on the show. You know, I talk to Rudy, I don't know, maybe once a day. Just texting each other, sending funny memes and stuff. Love them. Thank you very much for the 5. It's actually 631, so thank you very much for that. Torek, thank you for the 5. Israel tends to destroy bad boys' houses, to 1, keep it from being a shrine, and 2, counter Palestinian authorities pay to slay. Thank you for the 5. Difficult to read that one. Buenos Dias, thank you very much for the 371. Can't wait to see my boy Ronnie on TV. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy that it finally got an air date, that it's been announced and official. We're really excited about it. Let's just put it that way. Taylor, thank you for the $1. And Torek, thank you for the 2. So I'm your first interview, Ronnie. No, we did schedule our first. It is official. That'll be taking place within the course of the next couple weeks here. And thereafter, we have a list of guests that are include some really awesome people that I'm really excited to get the opportunity to talk to. Right? I'll be privileged to talk to giants, and I couldn't ask for anything more, and it's largely because of you guys, right? The continuous desire to improve and change. Not to say that the live show is going to take a back seat, but the focus will shift a little bit towards some of these conversations that we have scheduled, and it's exciting because it is a big shift. That is ultimately the reason that it took so long to change the studio, to shift things, to change the structure of how it was delivered. And that's why I'm kind of having to make the best of both worlds, both a podcast studio and a live studio. I've tried to, make a couple adjustments to make it a little bit easier to watch. Still got plenty to do. I'm doing my best on the lighting right now. That will all change. All the lighting showed up today, so I could only get 1 or 2 of them put up. But you'll notice that it does look quite a bit different in here, and it might look very different this Friday. Just depends on what I can get done throughout the week. Let's move into the footage that I have from from Ukraine. I don't have a geolocation on the first one, but I figured we'd start with a dogfight over the Dnipro between 2 drones, 1 fixed wing, Russian, and 1 FPV drone, which is Ukrainian. Interesting footage here. So you'll see this FPV drone, and actually I want to play the audio for this.
Hold
on, we got started over.
В околицях Кринків. Виявлений зведеною групою РЕП та РЕР морської піхоти та птахів Мадяра. Хробак прямує на ціль. Блискавична реакція пілотів.
I have no idea what he's saying. But you'll understand this part.
Іде на.
So we do have, though, onboard video from the Russian drone as well. Check this out. It's not the full footage. I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit more complete. You know, something that showed it falling down. But it does give us a little bit. This is what I was needed to play the audio for.
Ось це результат перехоплення хробачого дрона. Ось пролітає. Захід пішов FPV. 31-го разу не потрапив. Ось це результат перехоплення хробачого дрона. Ось пролітає. На перший захід пішов FPV. 31-го разу не потрапив. Ось це результат перехоплення хробачого дрона. Ось пролітає.
That is the dogfight over the Dnipro. Anyway, now we're going to move into some geolocatable footage. This is going to be a HIMARS strike that took place in Stara Mayachka. Took place here. This is where we're headed to. Right there. And this is actually going to come from the 73rd. So the 73rd Special Operations Center. We've seen footage of them before. We've seen some trench footage of them. If you recall, the trench footage of the bearded guy sneaking through the trench and he kind of pokes out and takes a couple rounds right real close. That was the 73rd. This is also from the 73rd. But in this, one of their drone operators is correcting or at least providing guidance to HIMARS as it targets a drone vehicle or a vehicle that transports or launches drones. Here you are. So this is footage of, recon, watching Russians using this vehicle, collecting this drone. And then it'll return to kind of its home base here in a moment, which is the geolocation we just looked at. And there's the HIMARS strike. Now, not too long ago, and it's not something that we covered because it kind of happened while I was away changing the studio. The first two battlefield, I shouldn't say casualties, but damaged HIMARS were confirmed as they were shipped back here. Now, I threw out a tweet. One second. I threw out a tweet of something that I found that was interesting. If you go back and you were to look at those two there's photos floating around of the HIMARS as they were arriving. Actually, I want to say back here in the States, two of them specifically. They had what would be known as fiduciary devices on them. They look like little checkers boards, right? Now, what those fiduciary devices are for, and these were plastered all around the impact areas of the HIMARS. What those are for is for known measured distance. And what I ultimately derived from that is something, this isn't groundbreaking that I'm about to tell you, it's just kind of a talking point that I found interesting. What those are for is to measure known distance, right? So as an analyst sitting at a desk, if I see a photo of a piece of equipment with fiduciary devices or stickers, fiduciary tools, measurement tools, slapped next to it, it allows me an immediate and recognizable known distance. From there, I can use that as a data point for later analysis. What I derived from that is that, just like we all expected and thought, there is a very deep set of requirements somewhere from somebody on the capabilities, Russia's offensive capabilities versus, at the very least, that system, right? I'll have to go back and I'll have to find that and retweet that out on the Funker page. That way, you might understand a little bit better for those that did not see those photos. But that all happened while we were away, and otherwise I would have talked about it here on the show. But those would be the first 2 combat losses that I'm tracking of the HIMARS. An area that was shelled pretty heavily down in Kherson is Pervomaisky Island here. Ukraine holds this small island. It's not very large. End to end, just over half a kilometer or so. And here is the footage. See those impacts on the far right side of your screen there. Camera autofocus is going crazy. Yeah, I turned the autofocus on just for today. I appreciate the patience. I was having an issue with the manual focus. And the issue with the manual focus is I couldn't get it set just right. One of the myriad of technical issues I ran into right before the start of tonight's stream. All right, let's pause and bring it back up. Again, there'll be a lot that gets changed and shifted and updated each time we go live. Things could look, I don't know, 50% different the next time we go live. Shifting studios like this, especially with the amount of complexity that was involved in this shift specifically, just takes time. Some of you might not have been here for the last shift in studio, and that was relatively simple because everything was really just set up for one person. We're set up for many different things here now, and there are many different things that can go wrong. Let's move on to the next bit of footage that I have. I think the biggest change that we'll see over time is in the lighting, though. We're going to head to Zaporizhzhia, where there is a renewed offensive from Russia. For this, we're going to bring up Deep State Map. Let me just turn this off of Ukraine mode because I can't read that. I can't read. And we're going to talk a little bit about Robotyne. Here. Now, we should be familiar with this area. This is where, really a bulk of the footage that we watched late into the year, late into, I should say, the fall last year, the 47th Brigade, before they were shifted out of here into, I want to say, the Avdiivka area. But you'll note the little arrows. There is a renewed offensive from Russia post-fall of Avdiivka to take Robotyne. Some of this footage we're going to see actually shows Russia getting very close, or, well, I mean, it's technically into the city itself. I don't think we're starting with that, but you'll see some footage geolocated of Russia as they continue to try and take positions back that Ukraine took during their counteroffensive. Let's take a look at the first bit of footage that I have. I believe this is an assault. It is. This actually takes place, this first video, up near Kopani, here. This first video is going to take place somewhere up here, and I have an exact geo coordinate for it here. There you are. And these vehicles are actually moving north that we're about to watch, just to help you understand direction of travel. Because when watching it, you're actually watching the vehicles moving to the bottom part of your screen, and for stupid idiots like me, that looks like south, but they're actually moving to the north. Here you are. Well, thanks for that, Colin. South down. Again, these are Russian vehicles assaulting to the north, near Kopani, in Zaporizhzhia. Just got my pink mist in the mail today. Hell yeah. That's highlighting, if you couldn't see it, that's highlighting a small drone that just impacted the vehicle. All right, let's bring it up. Now, what was published as a, quote, part 2 of that attack, quote unquote attack, actually took place just to the immediate west of Verboten, here. Now, why exactly it was published as a, quote, part 2, I can't be certain. I mean, these two events are close enough to each other that theoretically that could be and likely is a part of the same Russian unit conducting the activity, but I wanted to provide a little bit of context that this was published as a part of the same attack. But not unlike the last one that we just watched, this is Russian mechanized assault attempting to take back some of those positions that Ukraine had taken back during their counteroffensive. We should be focused on our southern border instead of other countries. Well, this show here, this combat footage review, is quite literally about reviewing combat footage. You know, we typically don't talk a whole lot about the geopolitics surrounding wars. It is our goal and effort to just try and understand what's happening via the footage from on the ground. I'm not a news anchor. I don't want to be. Go look at the Southern Border show. I'm sorry, it's not funny. No, but quite honestly, we one day could be looking at Ukraine footage, another day we could be looking in Sudan, or we could be seeing India, Pakistan. I don't know. We could watch the current iteration of the Northern Alliance. What is it? The National Resistance Front. you know, as they attack the Taliban, which is ironic as shit, but that's what this stream is for, is to show combat footage, to try and shed a little bit of light and better understand, for me personally, what's happening on the ground, right? I mean, in even video doesn't give you all that. That's one of the reasons that we're going to have people come in here to talk about what's happening on the ground, rather than have somebody that's never experienced it before, some talking head from some news network tell me what's going on. I want to hear from the people that are there. We're doing the best that we can to understand it on video, but video is imperfect. You know, it's a two-dimensional lens into a three-dimensional space. It's better than no lens, and we have more of it now than we've ever had before. But actually hearing from the people that were there, that provide us the context with visuals to accompany, that's where we're headed. Let's move on. This is probably a mashup of that very same assault that we just watched. So there's a little bit of sprinkled in footage here, but it is more perspective. You should collab with CivDiv. We've had CivDiv on with us live before. Ryan, did you have footage of International Legion rolling up to Russian lines? Crazy battle footage, Chosen trench battle. Well, my understanding of Chosen, and we're going to have a whole lot more context on Chosen here in the next couple weeks, let me just put it that way without spoiling it, is that they are not a part of the Legion. My understanding is that they are part of the Ukrainian military direct with contracts. But yes, we do have that 15-minute long footage. It's on the website. See D. Pickham fall in there. I'm just reading through the chat here. All right. Coming back up. Now, this next one's going to be a little bit not safe for work. Discretion's advised on it. But with Russia on the offensive, Ukraine obviously being in a little bit more of a defensive posture, we're getting a little bit more footage of Russia setting conditions for some of those assaults. These are going to be Russian drone-dropped grenades on Ukrainian positions, specifically here in or near Robotin. This takes place at this location. See it in a relative sense for Novoprokopivka, which we've seen plenty of footage of Ukraine attempting to take these areas. Ukraine at one point had made it all the way down to about here. We've seen footage of Ukrainians there. And we're about to see footage here in a second after we watch the drone drop footage of Russians making their way all the way up to about here. But first, more modern warfare. Discretion advised. Here you are. Thank you guys for all the support. I appreciate it so very much. I'll be going through that once we have a kind of a lull point. There's lots of footage to get through, though. I saw, Justin, just to answer that question, I saw the video was published. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. All right, let's bring it up. The new set is still too bright. Yeah, Gavin, we talked about that, at the start, right? I'm making do with the lighting that I have as I receive more stuff that I can mount and install. Over time, things will continue to improve. Let's move on. On or around the 19th, which would have been yesterday, in this location, here, this is that footage. Russia mounted an assault that ultimately, and I'll show you that footage immediately following this one, will lead in the capture of Russian POWs by Ukrainians. I keep looking at the light. I have the light offset from the camera right now, and it's a temporary solution while I wait to hang the other lights. Here is that assault. And then we'll be watching the POW footage immediately following. Should have given you a discretion advised on this one. And now for the footage from that very same location of some of those Russians surrendering to Ukrainians in Robotine. Wrong button. Now, again, note that they are coming out of a basement here. They had made it into at least the outskirts of the city before they ultimately surrendered. Just to bring home, once again, the location there, we'll go back to Google Earth. Here. Now, to give you a better understanding of the FLOT or the control areas, that would have been about right here. So, you might be wondering, if they made it that far, why, hasn't Deep State updated their map? Please go away. Thank you. Well, again, and I will kind of reiterate this over and over again, these are control areas. There's a reason that the Russians, when they made it to here, surrendered to Ukrainians, because this area is controlled by Ukraine. It doesn't mean that there's a wall of dudes standing here. That seems to, I don't know why I feel the need to say that, but it feels almost, when people look at maps like this, like there is an expectation that if Russia ends up here momentarily, then the control map should change. It's not necessarily the case. All right, let's move on to the next bit of footage that I have here. This is an interesting one. I don't know if it's bullshit or not. I don't know. It was published by Russia, and let me tell you what it is first. Give you an understanding of what you're going to see here. This is published by Russian FSB, or some official Russian source, and is purported to be a Ukrainian intelligence operative of some kind, planting a bomb on a politician's vehicle, whom they received some kind of intelligence, Russia did, and thwarted this plot. Sometime later, they raid a house, presumably or reportedly the house for this Ukrainian intelligence operator, and find a very beat-up Makarov, I think a grenade. The Makarov doesn't even have any ammo in it. I don't know. Here's the footage coming up for you now. This is supposedly that Ukrainian intelligence operative. Planting the bomb or something. This is them supposedly following him back to his bed down location or home.
Так, обнаружен пистолет Макарова, маркировка боевой, магазин не от него, судя по маркировке. Так, вещество похоже на ПВВ-7, элементы питания, часть электродетонаторный, что-то какой-то. Так, сумка, которая была сюда на...
I don't know, Patty. I don't know. I'm just showing you the footage, okay? I don't know. Now, this does take place somewhere in Russian-occupied Ukraine. I believe it was Zaporizhzhia somewhere. I do have it in the Zaporizhzhia section. So for those asking the question, like, why would they be filming right there? Well, if the FBI is tracking just to use a correlation here, if the FBI is tracking some kind of a plot against a politician's vehicle, they might sit on that vehicle and watch it in some form of, lay in wait and see what happens. But I'm not here to tell you one way or another. I'm just here to show you the footage. I think it's kind of laughable how it's all put together there. That's just a personal opinion. Let's move on. We're going to move into Donetsk, where we'll be seeing footage of Russia taking positions that, as of just late last week, Ukraine held. Here's the first, where we'll be seeing Russia planting a flag on the coke plant, this building specifically. We'll see a couple of these. And then we'll see some footage that at this point I would probably call archival footage, but it's footage that we haven't watched here yet, that shows either a fighting withdrawal or the late defense of Avdiivka. Here you are. Focus is going crazy. Yeah, I'll ask for a little bit of patience. I have to run the autofocus just for today. We'll switch back to the manual focus by the next stream. All right. I think you get the gist of that one. And then one more of those. This is going to be from the train depot. And the reason I picked these specifically is just to show Russia's positions in both, or near the coke plant, up there in the north of Avdiivka, as well as here. One moment. I'll show you on the map. At the train depot. So here is Avdiivka. That's the location we just were. Here's where we're headed. Now, there was one, I didn't, this isn't necessarily combat footage, but it does, as it's geolocatable, show Russia's positions. There was another that showed Russian flags being flown down here as well. I just don't have that one listed for the stream tonight. Here is the footage at the train depot.
Отряда 35-й отдельной мотострелковой бригады было освобождено здание железнодорожного вокзала населенного пункта Авдеевка. Взяв пленного и собрав информацию, мы поняли, что киевский режим бросает сюда самые подготовленные резервы. Против нас здесь работает 3-я бригада специального назначения Азов, усиленная наемниками из Канады. Но это нас не остановило.
How many Russians died to take it? Exact numbers like that are going to be difficult. I will say that we've seen plenty of footage of plenty of vehicular and personnel casualties coming from Russia in their attempts to take Avdiivka, and they finally have taken Avdiivka. They did attempt to, or are currently attempting to push past Avdiivka, which we'll see a little bit of footage of today as well. Okay. Now, as a part of that withdrawal, one of the things that Ukraine has done, or is doing, is keeping some of their vehicle losses from falling into Russia's hands. This specifically, and I'll show you a geolocation for it, it's just to the immediate northwest of that coke plant. This specifically is a Ukrainian Bradley, destroying a Leopard 2A6, I believe, as well as a Bradley that were disabled back in October of 2023. Here's the footage. Run through that one again. It was quick. This is the best shot that you get of those two vehicles. So here's that Leopard, and this is supposedly that Bradley. Now again, these were mobility kills or mission kills back in October that were not able to be recovered, and Ukraine is destroying those so that they don't fall into the hands of Russia on their way out the door. Got some helmet camera footage coming up here. I would consider this to be somewhat archival. I mean, this could be from, towards the very tail end of last week, just prior to the fall of Avdiivka. One way or another, it is prior to the fall. Could only be days old, though. It's going to take place here. So we were just at the train depot a moment ago. The video we just watched took place, I don't know, maybe right up here. But this next bit of footage that we have takes place here. You're going to see a 113 roll up, do a change out of personnel. And on its way out the door, or on its way away from this area, it gets hit. It's coming from the 3rd Brigade. Here's the video now.
Прибегай, бегом!
Давай, давай!
Бегом! Бегом, бегом, пацаны! Оце!
Викидуйте!
Пацани, за цей будинок! Хід з двору в підвал! Вам Стаглін дали? Да. Взяв Стаглін?
Куда йти?
За синю будівлю вхід з двору в підвал зразу!
Едем!
Все, поїхали, поїхали!
All right, let's bring it back up. More footage here from the 3rd prior to their withdrawal. Don't have geolocation for this one, but it's going to be a deuce, my deuce specifically, really getting after it here, and it seems to be running pretty good. Here you are.
Патроны, короб! Я ты, сука, блядь, пидор! Спаси хуй! Я вас всех выебу!
Bit too quiet. Yeah, that's the video itself. I've got it cranked about as far as I can make it. Hey. A mortar there.
Я да. Быстрее, быстрее! Давай сюда, блядь! Уходим.
Now, if I understand the original context of this, we've actually seen a small portion of this video, the one, the part that just happened. Is this was supposed to be some form of a, counter-assault against Russian positions as they started to gain a little bit of ground in Avdiivka. I want to say that the activity itself here is probably about a week, maybe a week and a half old. I did turn it down just a little bit here because there is a little bit of music on it, and I've been pretty good about not getting us copyright claims on the streams. There's that music. To the right there, or the right of the screen a moment ago, that is the coke plant that you're seeing there. Is this the Bradley? No, this would be a Ukrainian Max Pro. That would be a Max Pro. All right. Got some archival helmet camera footage of some form of Ukrainian SOF, or SSO, Special Operations Forces, in and around Avdiivka. Just a minute long here. A lot of music on that one. Please do tap the like button. It's a really easy way to support the free stream. Thank you guys very much for the gifted members. I see that. Thank you as well for all of the super chats. I'll be going through those probably here in just a moment. Should have given you a discretion advised on this one. Bradley there. All right. Now, I wanted to give you a little bit of some context footage here of what exactly Avdiivka looks like now. If I understand this release specifically, is it was released by Russia. Yeah, there are big RT watermarks. Of course there are. But here's what Avdiivka looks like. It's gone. That's gone. Now, I mentioned earlier that as a part of that offensive effort around Avdiivka, that Russia has attempted to go beyond. We're about to watch that footage. I want to show you on the control map here. Specifically, we're going to be looking at this sector here. Lastokina. This place. Here. Let's look at it from a geolocation perspective. This takes place right here. I want to say that a discretion advised is necessary on this one. Can't recall 100%, but discretion advised anyway. Here is that assault. That is a Russian vehicle laden with troops on the top. Was. Now, I couldn't tell if this is a mine or maybe some other munition. Difficult to know. But more than likely a mine. All right. Let's bring it back. Okay. I have 2 more videos for us to watch, and that will close us out for the night. The first is what I would call general footage out of Ukraine here. Just some counter battery fire, and I hope you're wearing your brown pants. I don't speak Ukrainian, but I would assume that he said no thank you. Bye. Or that, or let's get the F out of here, one of those two. Anyway, I need to go through the support on the stream tonight, and thank you guys very much for it. Working from top to bottom here. Jason, thank you for the $5. For those playing the home game, industrial coke is a coal-based fuel used mainly in iron ore smelting. Cheers, Ronnie. Keep it up, my guy. Thank you very much for the 5 and for the additional clarity there. That's appreciated. London Water, thank you for the 5. I'm kind of broke for the day, but I love this channel. Please don't ever feel obligated to send any money into the stream. We thank you very much for it, and it does go a really long way. But this stream is free. It'll always be free. It was always free, and thank you for being here. Mission Your Mom, thank you for the 5. Camera setup, much improved. Love the angle of the dangle. A little bit to the left. Looking forward to the new format. Yeah, it's gonna be really awesome, and we're looking forward to it as well. Just that takes us right back to why we started in the first place, right? Trying to gain context from what's happening on the ground. And when you take video is imperfect. The next best thing is somebody that's actually been there to describe the video, right? I have the video. I've watched an innumerable amount of videos from war, but I'm not there. Anyway, we're excited about that very much. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. Appreciate that. McCoy Monroe, thank you for the 5. Love the combat footage show. The show gives me a perspective I can't get anywhere else. Seriously, thank you. Thank you for being here. Jester, thank you for the $2. Happy birthday. It's not my birthday. It's not, though. Thank you for the $2. And PC Helpism, thank you for the $2. God bless America and the Second Amendment. Hell yeah. I'm into that. Ryan M., thank you for the 762. More map sounds, please. FYI, new stream location is looking great. No rifle in the background anymore, question mark. All the rifles are in the background of the follow-up stream. That's going to happen over on my personal small little channel where we're going to play some Helldivers too. Maybe spread some managed democracy. Looking forward to that. But that's where all the guns are. There's an AT-4 over there. But I can't show that to you because the big camera doesn't work for some reason. Brent, thank you for the 306. Looking at deep state map, I suspect Toretsk and New York will be the new Russian target. Look at highway running north-south. Looks tempting for Russia, I think. I think Russia is, going to do what they have continued to do, which is, small wave-type attacks on multiple fronts until they find one that works, and then align a massive amount of combat power towards it and a massive amount of waves until they take it. That's effectively what we've seen happen. They've probed. And where they find a little bit of success, that's where they align just a ton of resources. Thank you very much for the 306. Thomas, thank you for the $10. That FPV drone was reported to be a Russian one that was hijacked by Ukrainians and used to take out one with the other. Are you talking about the dogfight over the Dnipro? It's a wild video to watch. Todd, thank you for the $25. Why do you think peeps can't get along with one another? I believe it's politics. Because everybody believes that you have to be in a box. You have to sit inside of a box because it's always one team or another, or it's a coin flip. And life doesn't work that way. Nothing is that simple. But it's difficult for people to get their heads outside of those boxes. Once you do find a way to do that, you'll be a much happier person. Paul, thank you for the 631. Be awesome to see Rudy on the show. We did cover that one, so it looks like I'm all caught up there. And checking back in on the top, London Water, thank you for the 2. I got one more video for you. Once again, I hope you're wearing your brown pants. Thank you for the 2. Chris from the internet, thank you very much for the 5. Did you know a roly-poly is a crustacean? No, I didn't. But that's fun. Anyway, thanks very much for being here, everybody. We have a pretty short show for tonight. It's only like 7 minutes short. But I do have one more video for you. And I hope that whichever one of y'all this was partying over the weekend will come forward. Thanks for being here for the combat footage review. I'm Ronnie. It's good to see you. We'll see you again on Friday, or you can come over to the other stream with me. We'll kick back, we'll drink some beers, play Helldivers 2, and spread some democracy. But otherwise, I'll see you on Friday at 6 o'clock right back here for some more combat footage and review. Good night, and stay informed. Enjoy this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh in your ear. Just one more time. All right, anyway. Good night, everybody.